Hey guys, welcome to diykraftz.
In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step pattern of making these tiny 3D hats which can be used as keychains, crochet jewelry, bag tags, part of your Valentine's Day celebrations or appliques to your Amigurumi toys or animals. So let's get started. For this I am using a cotton 4-ply yarn and a crochet hook of size 3 mm. However, you can use your favorite yarn and its suitable hook size to make the hearts of different sizes. So now let us begin by making a slip knot. And this project is not worked in parts, it's just worked in a single piece. So there is no sewing of parts, which makes it further easier for us to make the hearts faster. Now let's begin by making the first round. Begin with chain 1 and make 6 single crochet stitches into the center. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now this completes your first row with 6 single crochet stitches. Now close the magic ring tightly and insert your hook into the first stitch, and this pattern is worked in spirals. Now make 1 single crochet stitch into that stitch and put a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the second row. And for the second row we have already done 1 single stitch. Now into the next stitch we are going to make 1 increase, that is 2 single crochet stitches going into the same stitch. That's 1 single stitch, and again into the same stitch make another single stitch. That's a single stitch increase. And now repeat this pattern. So 1 single stitch and 1 increase. Again one more time. 1 single stitch followed by 1 increase in the last stitch. So now after making the last increase, this completes your second row and you will have 9 single crochet stitches. Now remove the stitch marker and let's start making the third row. Make 1 single crochet stitch into the first stitch and put the stitch marker back into this stitch to mark the beginning of third row. Now into the next stitch we will have an increase, that is single crochet stitch increase. That's 2 single stitches into the same stitch. Make sure you maintain a similar tension throughout the project so that the project will have less holes. And if you wish, you can use yarn under also. Now in the next stitch makes 1 single stitch and repeat this pattern of 1 single stitch, increase, that's 2 single stitches into the stitch, and then 1 single stitch into the next stitch. One more time. Begin with 1 single stitch and then we have an increase, and finally into the last stitch make the last single stitch, and this completes your third row, and by the end of this row we will have 12 single stitches. And you can see the shape of the heart, it's slowly taking. Now into the first stitch make 1 single stitch and put the stitch marker into the same stitch to mark the beginning of the fourth row. Now into the next stitch make another single stitch. Now we have 2 single stitches, and then make the third single stitch into the next stitch. Now make a single crochet increase, that is 2 single stitches into the same stitch. Now repeat this pattern of 3 single stitches and increase throughout the row for 2 more times. That's 2 and this one is 3. And then in the next stitch we have an increase. Now repeat this one more time. 3 single crochet stitches, that's 1, 2 and 3. Now into the last stitch, make one increase. So after making this last increase in your 4th row, we will have 15 single crochet stitches. Now remove the stitch marker and let's start making the next round. Now make the first stitch of the 5th round and put the stitch marker to mark the beginning of row 5. So one single stitch, and then we have one more single stitch in the next stitch. So 2 single stitches, and then we have an increase. Again in the next 2 stitches, make one single crochet stitch in each stitch. Now we are going to repeat this pattern of 2 single stitch, increase and 2 single stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point. Now that we have done all the stitches and making the last single crochet stitch into the last stitch, and this completes your 5th row with 18 single crochet stitches. Now remove the stitch marker and let's start making round 6. Let's begin with one single crochet stitch and put the stitch marker back into the first stitch. Now continue to make one single stitches in each and every stitch. One single stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row until you reach the starting point, which means in the 6th row we will have 18 single crochet stitches. And now making the last single stitch of the 6th row. Now here is where we are going to do the partition for the heart, for its humps. You can now see the shape of the heart. Now remove the stitch marker and let's start working for the first hump of the heart. Begin with single stitch and put the stitch marker back into the place to mark the beginning of this 7th row. I shall call it as 7A, being a first side, and B on the second side. Now for the 6th row, as we have 18 single crochet stitches, we are partitioning it for 9 single stitches for each side. So that's the second stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now instead of making a slip stitch, we are going to continue to work into the stitch which we have marked as the beginning of the 7th row. So remove the stitch marker at the 7th row, and now into that same stitch we are continuing to make the single crochet stitch and mark the beginning of our 8th row. Now make one single crochet stitch into that stitch and mark the beginning of the 8th row again with a stitch marker. And this is how we are going to partition it. And first stitch is already done. Now make one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch throughout the row without any increases and decreases. But if you wish to have a smaller hemp, you can decrease on this row by making one single stitch and one decrease. But however, I feel making one single stitch in each and every stitch makes it look even more good. So after making one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch until you reach the stitch marker, making the last stitches, now remove the stitch marker and into the first stitch make a slip stitch. Just insert and draw the yarn through all the loops on the hook. Make chain 1 and trim the excess thread by leaving a little long tail end, and we are going to use this tail end to sew the ends and close the opening of the heart and to form the hem of the heart. And this completes the first part. Now let's stuff the heart with the fiber fill and then continue to work on the other hem of the heart. Take a good amount of fiber fill and stuff it into the base of the heart, and also a little amount of fiber fill into the hem also. After you stuff it with the enough amount of fiber fill, let's continue to work on the other side of the heart. Attach the yarn through one of the stitches on the other side of the heart and make chain 1. Secure the join by tightening it, and as we don't want to have a larger holes, so secure it tightly and minimize the hole. Now make one single crochet stitch into that stitch, and I am including the tail yarn for few stitches so that the joint will be a little more secured. That's the second stitch, third one, and this side I am calling it as 7B, and for this row I am going to make just one single crochet stitch in each and every stitch. Now I have done 4 single crochet stitch on one side. Now carefully turn the heart onto the other side, and I am stuffing this tail end into the heart so that it won't come my way of crocheting. After making all the adjustments, continue to work with the pattern. Make the last few single crochet stitches. Just identify the stitch, as we have already made one single stitch on the other side, and this is the stitch which we have to continue to work for the single stitches. And just count each and every stitch so you will not miss making few stitches or more number of stitches. And don't get confused, we will have a small separation in between the hems, and by the end of the project we are going to sew them together. So this completes 7B. Now instead of making a slip stitch into the first stitch, we are continuing to make 8th row. So continue to make one single stitch in each and every stitch, and just putting a count on it here so I don't need any stitch marker. That's the third one, 4, 5, and then the 6th one, 7, 8, and then the 9th one. Now make a slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, and trim the excess thread again by leaving a long tail end. Now fasten off. Now with the help of a tapestry needle, we are going to close these openings on the top and also covering the gap in between the hems. Let's put the fiber fill onto the hem by using a back side of a needle, as we do not want to stretch out the holes more. The written pattern of these little hearts is given in the description. Do check it out. Meanwhile, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe and click on the bell icon to get the notifications for my latest videos. Also, make sure you follow me on other social media platforms. Links are shared in the description. Now insert one of the tail ends into the tapestry needle, and let's close the opening on the top of a heart. Insert the needle into the front loops of all the 9 stitches in our 8th row. After passing the needle through the front loops of all the stitches, make sure that stuffing is kept inside and pull the tail end tightly. And here is the small tip I have used. Once you are about to close the opening, remove the excess stuffing and adjust the remaining using the back side of the crochet hook to avoid the mess. Now make a knot on the top of the hump and insert the yarn through the center till the back of the heart. Now make another knot just to secure the weaving. Now weave in the ends and trim the excess thread close to the heart. Now repeat the same process for the other side of the heart hem as well. With the help of a tapestry needle, insert the hook into the front loops throughout the row and pull the yarn gently by adjusting the stuff into the heart, and just repeat the process. Now after completing the knot on the top of the heart, we are going to close the gap in between the hems. Just pass the needle through both the hems and close the gap and secure it by making a small knot on the top of it. Now weave in into the heart and trim the excess thread and adjust the stuffing, and this is how the heart looks like. Now trim the excess thread close to the heart. Now you can adjust the stuffing by rolling the heart in between your palms as shown, just to get the good shape. And that's it, your cute little tiny hearts are ready. You can use these little hearts in many ways, as a kids accessories or as a part of your anniversary or Valentine's Day celebrations. According to me, these are super cute and easy to make. I hope you all enjoyed watching this tutorial. Do give this pattern a try and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. See you all in the next video.
Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share it and subscribe to DIY Crafts.